nobody would want to hear right after the Steelers took out the number one team in the NFL that they might be facing an even more formidable challenge in the following week. But it could be the case. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Steelers presented by FanDuel. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you happen to be into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. It'll be Steelers versus Chargers Sunday night. That's an 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff in Inglewood, California. And yeah, the defense just got it done, arguably in a big way, against the Colts, shutting down Jonathan Taylor, regressing Daniel Jones to his Giants days right in front of our eyes, and keeping Indianapolis really just silent aside from the way the game went in the first quarter. This is different. The Chargers don't have the same sexy record. They're 6-3, 3-0 in their division, so they're legit. But they'll be facing the best quarterback they've taken on to date, and I'm here to say that it's by a pretty wide margin. Justin Herbert's first in the NFL in rushing yards with 305 among quarterbacks. He's first in the NFL with 220 completions. He's now second in the NFL in passing yards with 2,390. He's now second in the NFL in passing touchdowns with 18. It's not just that he's been great, it's that he really ought to be in the MVP conversation. No, they're not perfect, and I don't mean to build them up. In fact, I'm not even going to try to build them up in comparison to the Colts, because I see the Chargers as being more flawed on a few levels, chiefly that they're not great on the offensive line, and this was even before they lost both of their starting tackles. They're really in a rough spot at the edges of their line. I don't know that their running game could be considered great either. Omarion Hampton's a really, really promising young player with 314 yards, 4.8 average, but the LA offense had been built to function on Najee Harris. When his durability finally gave out a little while back, he's out for the season. But the focus on Herbert when it comes to analyzing the Chargers is merited. He is that offense. He is, arguably, that football team. In most of their 6 wins, they've done just enough to outscore the other guys. That even included in Nashville last weekend, eking out the terrible Titans 27-20. But I'll say it once more. They've not faced a quarterback like this yet this year. Between what Herbert can do with his arm and his legs, and to their credit, the players yesterday after practice on the South Side weren't pretending otherwise. This was Joey Porter.
Yeah, we're always trying to do good on good. That's what Coach always talks about. So the fact that it's a good opponent, that means we can show our skills and how much we bring to the table. So it's going to be a good matchup. We're all excited for it. We're ready for it, and we just got to execute.
Now, projecting all of this further, the Steelers secondary, while it had itself a nice day against the Colts, is so new to this world, if you think about it, that there's no way to feel comfortable, at least not for me, about anything that they would do this weekend. Jalen Ramsey looked outstanding at safety. Good for him. First time in any sort of sustained action. Kyle Duggar's been hearing the praise, oh my goodness, from Mike Tomlin for days now, and from his teammates as well, because he just showed up in the parking lot, got himself a badge from security, works his way into the building, and boom, there he is, starting and logging almost every snap and then getting a game ball. It was only a few days earlier that we were all panning Porter and Darius Slay and even Brandon Eccles. And now, well, you get the point. This game is going to be won or lost right here. This matchup, the defense versus Herbert. I'm obviously not breaking any big-time analytical ground when I say that, but I do think we can get a little bit more precise. With the Chargers missing their tackles, that plainly plays into what the Steelers always want to do against any opponent, but doubly so against a mobile quarterback. And that's to have their edge rushers tee off. If they can tee off with 3 of them out there at the same time and coming from multiple places in the defensive scheme, so much the better. There was a wonderful balance finally achieved for all 3 of the outside linebackers, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and yes, Nick Herbig, against the Colts. That has to continue. The coaches can't get back into whatever psychosis it was that caused them to keep Herbig on the sideline. They've got to let those guys fly. They've also got to maintain, and this is really important, whatever it is that the players prefer to describe as simplicity within the defense. That has to continue to be the case. Don't make me remind everyone of what happened the last time the Steelers faced a quarterback who can beat you with his arm and his legs, that of course being the playoff game against Lamar Jackson, in which everybody overthought everything, had all kinds of gimmickry going on, collapsing tackles on the wrong player, not changing anything even though the Ravens had blown it up until the third quarter. Get after him. That's it. Get after him. If he gets away from you a time or two, listen, that's just life. But get after him. I don't know of that many occasions, there have been some, where the Steelers' defense has just been emasculated because they were trying to be too aggressive. To me, it's always been the opposite. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar. Football season's finally here. Time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Think the Steelers are headed to the Super Bowl? Lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials, so you can join in on all the action. Today's J1Q comes from Matt in reference to yesterday's episode that was dedicated almost entirely to Peyton Wilson's parent breakout. Matt says, DK, nice in-depth shot on Peyton. I have heard him tell you from time to time that the coaches have simplified things and that they just let the players play. It sounds logical enough, but in this highly complicated and schemed game of football, what exactly does he mean? The best answer that I can give to this, Matt, and he's a regular for me, he's a regular stop after games, was when he first raised this subject with me. It was in Dublin after the victory against the Vikings. It was just me and him. I could tell he was eager to talk because he had not been pleased with his play before that, and he really was over there. And yeah, he brought up simplified. And when I asked him what that meant, he just kind of kept repeating the word. So I didn't get any sort of elaborate explanation on it. However, piecing it together with what he would tell me the following week, or whenever he was, and everybody was really upset with how things went against both the Bengals and the Packers, I came to deduce that what he meant and what other guys meant who were using that term wasn't so much that the X's and O's being carved out by Terrell Austin and Mike Tomlin were so complex that they needed to go back to college and get another degree to figure them out. It wasn't that at all. They just wanted to
not going to use the term again. Get after it. Go. That's the quarterback. See the dude with the lightning bolts on his head? Yeah, go get him. That's it. That's it. Now, it's not it. There's a lot more to the game than that. But what these guys had reached the point of feeling was exasperation at constantly being told to go backward, to just kind of float back into coverage and, get a sixth sense for what's going on and try to react. Well, by the time they reacted, the other team's got the ball. They usually have it in the middle of the field, often in stride, and then they just go, and they feel like they're the worst defenders in the world. Now, there are players who are really good at that sort of thing, and those players are very highly compensated to be good at exactly that. And in a 2025 defense, they tend to be appreciated more than the guys with the big fangs. But that's not this roster, Matt. That's not what you have here in Pittsburgh. That's not what was assembled in Latrobe. That's not the type of personality that they were expected to have as a collective. And you'll remember that I was pointing that out back then in the reports from St. Vincent College. These guys didn't want to just beat you. They wanted to eat you alive. They were doing that in the practices, in the drills on Chuck Noll Field. The real games come along and everybody's like, oh no, gotta watch out for those other guys because they're really dangerous and all that living in their fear stuff. Now, I'm probably the one that's oversimplifying this at this point in my answer, because this is when people will start doing blitz counts and saying, well, they should either be blitzing more or blitzing less. And if they're blitzing less, doesn't that mean that they're being more passive? No. What had to happen all along is that everybody on that defense needed to be put in their best, most effective, natural position. This past Sunday against Indianapolis was as close as the Steelers have come to that. Everybody was in a spot where they're comfortable, where they liked being, where they feel normal, and they went at it. Should it have taken 2 months and change to reach that point? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Are they all the way there yet? No, absolutely not. This was one really resounding victory after a whole lot of resounding not. The Chargers out west, their place with that quarterback, present yet another opportunity that's sitting there in front of the Steelers defense in particular. They can take another step toward getting to where they had thought they'd be all along. I appreciate the question, Matt. We're going to have a double shot of Steelers coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern today. That's live. Same place you found this. You can also find it on the DK Pittsburgh Sports app. Hope to see you there.